Hi, I'm Nate Bronner with the Virginia Cooperative Extension and the Master Gardener Program, and I'd like to welcome you back to my garden. Today is the middle of winter. It's probably a high of about 25, and it's cold outside, especially for Yorktown, Virginia. But on a day like today is a perfect day to be sowing some of our native seeds if we want to have native plants for our garden. There are all sorts of native seeds that you can get, usually for free by just collecting the seed heads in the fall. And today I'm going to show you an easy way to propagate them and get those seedlings growing so that you can then pot them up come April and they start germinating. You see, because most native seeds need a period of cold stratification in order to germinate. Cold stratification might sound like a lot, but really what it means is that seed needs to be cold and wet for a certain period of time so that it can germinate. Most native seeds have a requirement for between 30 to 60 days of cold stratification so they will germinate. And that's hard to do if you're just doing that inside. But there's a trick where you can do this outside and do it with very few materials and really get some good results. One of the things that you need is a small clamshell plastic container like this. I tend to hold on to the ones that I buy grapes in. You get about 3 pounds of grapes in one of these in the fall, and I hold on to them until the springtime. Interestingly, they have holes at the bottom for drainage and holes at the top. That's really important because you don't want the water to sit in here and become a problem. I then take just a single ply of paper towel and I put it at the bottom so the dirt the soil doesn't just fall out. And then I take some potting soil and I put in about 1/3 of the container of potting soil and fill that up, move it around so that's in there. Then I take the seeds that I want to put in there. Now, in this case, we're going to be planting some common milkweed seeds. Now, if you like monarch butterflies, this is one of the host plants that their caterpillars can eat, digest, and live off of. And if you notice with the seed pods, they've got the seeds all inside these. And all I have to do is suss it out and then plant those in there. I want to break them up a little bit so the seeds get plenty of access to that cold, moist soil so they will germinate. And in each one of these seed heads are maybe 100 seeds each. So I'm going to put a couple of them in there because I can put as many of them in there as I want. The advantage to doing this is that when I have them in here, as opposed to just in the ground, I know that every seed that germinates in here and every new plant is going to be just what I planted in here. So I don't have to worry about whether that seedling that's growing up, being able to identify it, because I know that they're all going to be common milkweed. And that keeps it a lot simpler for me. So once I've done that with a bunch of these, I go into my bag of potting soil and I get a very light layer. I don't need much. The general rule of thumb is 3 times the width of the seed is the depth of planting. In this case, the seeds are so thin that I only need a slight layer on top and it's going to be fine. Once I've done that, all I have to do is wet this down, give it a nice wetting, and then close this up. And I need to put on it that it's common milkweed. So I'll just write that right on here. If I don't do that right away, if you're anything like me, I run the risk of forgetting what I put in here just 2 or 3 minutes later. So now this is labeled. It's good to go. And I'm going to put this out in the garden where it's going to be exposed to the wet, the cold, the rain, the snow, the sun. It's going to get all the elements. And then in April, when this starts germinating and coming up, I'll have lots of seedlings in here that I can then transplant out of here and put into individual pots or place in the garden where I want them to grow. And that's how simple it is. Really simple way to propagate native plants in your own garden. Thanks for coming back to my garden. And if you have any comments or questions, please put them in the comments below. Thanks, and have a great day.